This is the Blockchain Real Estate Podcast, sponsored by the Blockchain Real Estate Summit. If you're interested in the intersection of real estate, blockchain technology, AI, and more, you've come to the right place. Don't miss your opportunity to attend the Blockchain Real Estate Summit 2024, happening this September 24th through 26th, online for our worldwide audience. Get your tickets at blockchainrealestatesummit.com/registration. Enjoy the show.
Webinar. But I have one of the true pioneers in blockchain real estate, and that is Remy Jacobson with RealT. And Remy, and that's realt.co. And Remy not only started with mining Bitcoin in the early days, but he also truly figured out how to actually put real world assets on chain. And so what we're doing now is we're going to have Remy explain how he went from Bitcoin mining to putting thousands of people into individual properties to locking up, close to $100 million in value on chain, and all the different things that he's doing. So Remy, thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure coming back to the Blockchain Real Estate Summit. Pleasure to be with all of you. As Michael said, my brother and I have created realt.co. We're the largest real estate tokenization platform in the world today by all metrics, by number of properties, by number of investors, by volume as well, and by DeFi integration. RealT has been a brainchild of my brother and I since 2011 when we started mining Bitcoin. We've always wanted to marry real estate and blockchain. It made a lot of sense. The law changed in 2018 and made it possible to be done in the US, where we started with some high low-income properties. Since then, RealT has successfully tokenized and sold. The sold is very important because it's very easy to tokenize property and say, I've tokenized them. But then you need to sell them to create a real market, to create demand, to create liquidity. So we have tokenized and sold over 1,550 properties so far, units. We have a secondary market, actually multiple secondary market that are extremely active. Realty has also launched the first lending platform called the RMM, the Realty Money Market, for people to be able to collateralize their token. What does that mean? That means you could actually buy into real estate, take a loan without encumbering the actual underlying asset. You are responsible of your destiny. If you pay your loan, great. If you don't, you lose your token. Nothing happens to the property and the other investors. Same with the YAM, which is you and me, our secondary market. There is different ones on different platforms as well, but this is the one created by the RealT Foundation. So the YAM is very active, a few $100,000 a day in exchange. You are able to buy your property on Monday, collect rent on Tuesday, Wednesday, and sell it on Thursday if you feel like it, which has created liquidity in real estate, which historically is a very long haul investment. Not anymore. You could enter for $50 and you could stay for as long as you want or as short as you want. This was the primary mission of RealT. Now RealT is entering another phase, new market. We're launching Europe very soon, our first offering in Europe. We have launched our first offering in Latin America and going worldwide. We have investors, token holders in 154 countries or 53 countries, and looking to offer real estate in all of those countries at some point, as well as much more integration into the world of DeFi and blockchain. A lot of things are coming in the next few weeks and months for RealT that should change the way we see real estate and we do business in the real estate sector.
Well, that is really incredible, Remy. You know what? Just the amazing thing. So how many countries do you think you're going to be involved with very soon?
Well, we did the legal work for Europe. Europe includes quite a few countries at once, but we will start with targeted market. And hopefully by the end of 2024, we will be in more than 6 countries.
Wow, that's fantastic. And the next thing I wanted to ask you about is, why don't you talk a little bit about how you started out, how many of the very first house you ever did, how many investors were in it,
Of course. So we started out in late 2019. We launched the platform. It was a soft launch. Early 2019 was the hard launch. At that time, real estate tokenization was a novelty. We had a $63,000 home for sale that took about 5.5 months to sell. Today, with RealT, a $63,000 home will last an approximately 5 to 10 seconds on the platform.
5 to 10 seconds. Let's just back up. 5 to 10 seconds. You throw it up there and it's gone in 5 to 10 seconds.
That's correct.
That's incredible.
For $63,000. The bigger the number, the longer it's going to take. But yes, in average, 5 to 10 seconds for a property this price. But you could see the growth of RealT throughout the years, where we started with this property, 5.5 months. After that, we did more properties, and the time shrank and shrank and shrank, all the way to the time where we crashed the servers. We couldn't handle the load. So that was quite an amazing experience. I know it was not a great user experience for our token holders, but it was very satisfying as the founder to see this happen and the demand for this market, which when RealT launched, real estate tokenization did not exist. Period.
100%. You invented the you basically invented the category. And the other thing is what I was amazed at, and it's even gotten better. But when we were talking back in 2021, you told me you had like one offering where you had about 1,200 or 1,500 people in it, so that or investors. So 1,200 to 1,500 investors, and that particular offering, I believe, was somewhere around $400,000. So, how many investors are you packing into some of these investments? Like what's your record?
Well, it depends on where the property is located, because don't forget, we have to follow, and we are fully full security token. So there's a maximum investors per properties per Inc. in the US. If it's a property in Latin America, the number is much larger. And in Europe, different as well. But in an average, we put about 1,800 to 2,000 investors per property, which is what creates liquidity. There will always be someone interested in your token to buy you in or buy you out.
Well, I just want to back up. So it is just incredible that, because without blockchain technology, you could not have been able to accommodate that many investors. I mean, you could have, but I remember we were doing things by paper, and even on an Excel spreadsheet. It would be crazy to do, because you guys pay out monthly, or are you still paying out daily on some of your returns?
So, no, we pay weekly. We started paying out daily. That's when we launched and we were on Ethereum. When I say on Ethereum, we're still on the EVM, but we were on L1 on mainnet, and the DeFi summer happens. At that time, we were doing small houses. It would have cost us more money to distribute the token and the rent and the price of the actual asset.
Right.
So that's when we launched on Gnosis chain, which is an L2 solution, very cheap, and we chose Gnosis because of its dollar peg transaction coin.
Okay,
but that's a whole different story.
Right.
So back then we were in Ethereum, and today we do rents on a weekly basis. Every Monday morning, you get your rent deposited. Of course, if there is rent, sometimes some tenant moves out. Sometimes the tenants don't pay. If they don't pay, and if there is no rent to distribute, there is no distribution.
Right. But what an incredible story, though. I'm just, like I said, I'm blown away. And potentially in Latin America, you could get, what's the maximum there? Because again, we should probably back up and say everything that I am most happy with and amazed with, and it's not condescending, but I'm proud of you. You guys have figured out how to do it legally, because there are people out there in the industry that say, oh, this isn't a security. I'm just doing an NFT, so I don't have to follow securities laws. And the amazing thing is that you guys sat down, figured out how to do everything legally, how to get American investors into properties, and most importantly, how to get non-US investors, because I believe that that's really where a lot of wealth is going to be created for people, is people in other countries looking for quality real estate. So how did how many people do you think you're going to be able to accommodate, like in a Latin American offering?
So Latin America is not harmonized as per how many people you could do an offering. Panama, Argentina, Chile, Mexico all have different laws. So it really depends on the country. We work with legal counsel per country we're looking to open. Even in Europe, Europe is harmonized, but we still take legal counsel per country, as each country has little difference that you need to respect. As to doing it the legal way, Michael, the SEC framework is flexible enough to be able to do tokenization within the existing rules of the SEC without having to become creative and do utility token. When you sell a part of a company that owns an asset, you're selling a security. It looks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's usually a duck. So there's no need to try to recategorize because we're using a new technology. Yes, new technology, implement changes and amplify what we were able to do before. But it's still, there is regulation that encourage the use of new technology as long as it's done with reason and logic of the law.
Yeah, and the new technology is basically it's similar to, you know, what a record player was pre 1980, and it's analog. And we were doing securities, and they were paper-based securities, and now those securities are just tracked on a blockchain. But the really incredible thing that the technology allows you to do is the back-end office, where you can actually keep track of all the investors, keep track of the cap table, and do all the rest of that stuff. So when you were sitting down, like what got you into this? Because I know you told me originally that you were doing Bitcoin mining, correct?
So I'm a real estate developer and investor by trade. That's how I started my business life. In 2011, my brother and I started doing mining Bitcoin. We fell on it by chance. We looked at it, we read the Satoshi white paper and fell in love with the concept. We went down the rabbit hole really quickly. Never looked back since then. But we've always had this idea of an open ledger, something completely transparent and real estate transaction, how more efficient it would be than our old spreadsheet where we keep the name of our clients, their investment, their tracking, and all this. And to be very honest, if you are to do it with 5, 10, 20 investor, 100 investor, please stay with Excel. You're going to save a lot of money. Right. If you are going to do it at a much higher, much more dynamic pace, then blockchain makes a lot of sense, especially if you want to create liquidity. But liquidity is not created with 10, 15 investors. This is not what we call a liquid investment in blockchain, at least.
Right, right. And I like the fact that not only you're really not completely selling the liquidity part, you're selling the investment part, and that it's a sound investment first and foremost. That in your like making it. So what is your like lowest investment amount? What can somebody invest in one of your offerings?
So each of our tokens are around $50, from $49 to $51, depending on the asset, because not all asset has the same price. But we always try to issue the number of tokens to stay around that benchmark. So you could start investing in real estate, being a landlord, for as little as $50 and for as little as 1 day.
Oh, so that's even better too. So you can choose to invest $50 in real estate, and you could take a shot at it. If you decide that you need to do something with that, you could potentially sell it, because what you're saying is that since you have so many investors in your ecosystem and so many investors in a particular house or apartment building or any type of property, that there's a ready-made market for somebody to actually be able to exit out of that.
So it's a little bit more than that, actually, Michael. You have a few solutions. The first solution, you have your $50 token and you want to sell it. You could go on the YAM, which is the Realty platform. You could go on SwapCat. You could go on LevinSwap, on Uniswap, or you could go on Telegram and do peer-to-peer transaction. Like I said, there's a few $100,000 being exchanged per day on the ecosystem of Realty on secondary market. But then if you don't want to sell your token and you need the cash, but you don't need all of it, you could go and take a loan against your token on the RMM. You go on realty.co, collateralization, You deposit your token as a guarantee and you get a 50% loan to value in 2 clicks.
Fantastic. So this is like one of the major eye-opening things, that you can actually use a token, a real world asset token. You can borrow against it and use it as collateral while still at the same time, receiving the income and all the rest of it. So that is really great. And then you had also worked out, I believe, some partnerships with other lending organizations, or did that lending protocols?
So we are our code is based out of Aave, which is probably the most efficient and technologically advanced lending protocol in DeFi. We have a licensing agreement with them. So our code is updated as their codes are, and we don't find ourselves with outdated codes and not being able to have the flexibility that they have. So yes, we have a licensing agreement with Aave for our technology.
Oh, that is phenomenal. That is phenomenal because, as you said before, you started out on Ethereum. You didn't start your own blockchain because you don't want to, reinvent the wheel and all the rest of it. And then you found the optimal protocol and work with that. And I think that's the way to do it, is just to, because I see a lot of other people say, well, I'm going to invent my own blockchain, do this, do that, and that's great, but I think you could see the scale that you've been able to achieve with working with existing technology.
Creating its own blockchain is something that is very interesting for very, very large companies, corporations, who really don't want to have third party interacting with their protocol. The beauty of blockchain is to be open source, is to be open to everyone and easily accessible. If you look at blockchain, I see blockchain as the way you see your servers. Do you know which servers we're using right now for this conference call?
No.
It's somewhere in America, in Asia, or in Europe. You will not know on what blockchain you are in the next 2-3 years. You will go from Ethereum to Polygon to Gnosis to Polkadot without even noticing it. It's an RPC that you change on your MetaMask or whichever wallet. And on top of it, with abstract accounts that is coming out, which is basically you don't have to have a seed code anymore for the more novice people. And it's one of the big mass adoption event I think that have happened. It's live now but not used. Will make it very, very simple to be able to go from one chain to the other, as long as they're EVM compatible. EVM is Ethereum virtual machine.
Right. And that's what I've addressed with a lot of people, that there might be other faster blockchains out there. There might be other less expensive blockchains out there. There might be other less elegant blockchains out there. But
we're on Gnosis. It doesn't get much cheaper than Gnosis.
Right. But there's a lot of other people that are talking about different layer ones. And what I always say, going back to my 1980s analogy, is their ERC and EVM compatible is like the VHS of it might not be the best thing, but it's the industry standard, and everybody's gonna kind of coalesce around it.
Correct. That's right.
And we had a question. What kind of ROI does a typical investor receive in year one?
It depends on the asset. Right. If you have a Class A asset or Class B asset in the heart of New York City, your ROI is going to be in the very low single digit. If you go for a low-income housing property in Chicago, your ROI is going to be much larger, but much bigger risk as well. Are you going to get the rent? Is it Section 8 or not? It is 100% based on the asset, period.
Right. So each individual asset stands on its own, and that's, as you said, there's also risk involved with investing. And as we know from operating real estate, every once in a while the tenant decides not to pay, things happen, all the rest of it, you get a large expense. So do you guys keep a reserve to cover expenses then also?
Yes. So at time of offering, we do a few things. First of all, we have a condition report of the property to tell us what to expect for the next 2 years. And 2 years is already a long time in real estate. As you know, a bad snowstorm, an ice storm could change completely the nature of the deal. But we have a 2 years view on the asset. The roof is going to need to be replaced. The plumbing is becoming old. So we have a reserve for renovation. Then we have a maintenance reserve, which is equal to 2 months out of rent that is collected upfront at the time of offering. Once this is used, of course, rent is here to replenish the maintenance reserve. RealT offers a real landlord experience.
Right.
Just as if you own the house, you have the same joy when the property goes up in value, the same joy when you collect your rent, and the same heartache when your tenant says, sorry, I'm not paying this month, and you have to go and push them to pay.
So every once in a while you have to deal with tenants, termites, and trash.
Every day.
But the joy is that the investors in RealT don't have to go out and do that. RealT does it for them. So they just...
That's correct.
Yeah, that is perfect. One of the other questions, you said Aave is the lending protocol that your code is based on. So correct?
Yes, that is correct. Aave, AAVE, an amazing protocol, an amazing team behind it. Really unbelievable what they've built.
Right, and probably the largest lending platform out there in terms of lending on digital currencies.
On TLV wise, total lock value, yes, it is.
Yeah.
If you go on Defilama, you'll see, I think, the number 3 or 4. RealT is number 62, 63, which is not bad with TLV total lock value of about $95 million today.
Yeah. And talking about different blockchains is like talking about religion, as somebody just recently told me. But there's a question here. Is RealT open to using blockchains other than Gnosis?
Yes, we're completely blockchain agnostic. We will be multi-chain very shortly. We're just finishing up now the audit of our bridge. Once our bridge is done, because don't forget, it's our security token. Moving a regular utility token from one blockchain to another, you could wrap it, you could do a lock and burn or a lock and lock, different protocol that are very easy to do. When you do it with a security token, there's a little bit more to be done. So we have developed our own bridge. It's finishing up its audit. We had the first round last week. We're finishing up the details that they asked us to fix. Second round starting next week. And once the bridge is open, we'll be on most EVM chain.
I truly thank you. Every time I talk to you, I learn something new. And you guys are just so far ahead of everybody else in thinking through what needs to be done, what has to be put in place to create a marketplace. And truly bringing liquidity and real world assets to people for as low as $50, all over the world. That's just, I think it's a truly incredible story. I wish you all the success in the world, because you are truly blazing the path for others to come and see how it's done properly.
And talking about others to come, please reach out to me. We're happy to share our technology. We're happy to share our codes. We're happy to share our experience. We're just looking for people who wants to do it the right way and not try to do a utility token when it's not.
All right, perfect. I truly appreciate it. We're going to turn it back over to Jonathan, who's going to introduce the next panel. You know what, Remy? People, if they want to see what RealT is doing in action, it's realt.co. That's realt.co. And these guys are truly the innovators. You just go over there and take a look at what they're doing. You will truly be amazed and learn a ton. So thank you very much, Remy.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Blockchain Real Estate Podcast, hosted by the Blockchain Real Estate Summit. Don't forget to sign up for the Blockchain Real Estate Summit 2024, happening this September 24th through 26th, online for our worldwide audience. Get your tickets at blockchainrealestatesummit.com/registration. If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to follow the Blockchain Real Estate Podcast on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Your feedback really helps increase the visibility of our show, allowing us to reach more listeners like you. If you have someone in mind you would like us to interview, You can go to blockchainrealestatesummit.com and leave a comment.
Hi, this is Adam Carswell, the voice of Liberty. This podcast is solely intended for informational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended to provide tax, legal, investment, or accounting advice. You should consult your own tax, legal, accounting, or investment advisors before engaging in any transaction or undertaking. Thank you for listening to the Blockchain Real Estate Podcast, which is a part of the Blockchain Real Estate Summit Network. Go to blockchainrealestatesummit.com for more information, free reports, and giveaways with free stuff. Thank you.